evaluate the actual joint, global or by regions, that is affected by the no observance of the United Nations principles, and precisely in this group in which we are working, it is very important to highlight, to avoid the events I have mentioned that are affecting the region. I want to begin my speech in this facility of the group of friends of the United Nations Charter. We know that along the years, the United Nations Charter have been submitted to constant strikes on the side of that powerful countries that are looking for expansion and people's domination to get our natural resources, technological resources, physical resources. For our countries, all the ones that belong to this group, and for all countries that are in United Nations, the unique defense that we have in the international sphere is precisely to keep tied to this functional charter that this year is 80 years of created, and it is the only legal and juridical element in which we can count to advance in the progress of our nations. 4 years ago, we did the first step in conforming this group, and in 4 years we could see interference in the global potencies and violating the United Nations Charter. And they did all kinds of abuses against our nations, against the political process of our countries, violating all the principles of this charter. We've been working, strongly working in this group. I really appreciate your cooperation here in New York and also in Geneva, where we have different meetings to fix a common position in front of these facts that violate the chart or where principles are required to be applied strongly. Maybe the painful case that we have lived has been the Palestinian case, the systematic violation of the principle and resolution of the Security Council, not only the chart, but the resolutions of the General Assembly of the United Nations are violated systematically by the main powerful countries, United States and Israel, which is one of the worrisome process, but also we have been order violation against another members of the group, that is the case of Iran, which they have applied all kind of violation of the principle of the chart, sovereignty, the physical integrity, and it doesn't have another origin than illegality. This group has rejected precisely all these attacks against its people, against their scientific nuclear installations that were also under an agreement in United Nations, and it was violated by these powerful countries. Today we are living, in Venezuela's case, the country I am representing, another violation of the principle of the chart, when it is threatened his integrity by another country. They have deployed in the Caribbean Sea an important military group, 8 destroyers, nuclear submarine, troops, elite troops, highly trained, with the false excuse to fight drug traffic. And they have accused our President Nicolás Maduro Moro to be the sponsor of numerous crimes that have been belied on United Nations reports. And we know that this deployment has no other objective, that is to get our national resources from Venezuela and to promote a regime change in our country. Everything violating the United Nations Charter. Dear comrades, delegators, the United States of America speech was a speech very scandalous, where is being attacked the United Nations Charter, where principles has been attacked. The principle that allowed its creation. They have jeered in front of the United Nations of all the norms that we have since 80 years created to survive. It's been threatened countries. They are claiming just the use of the force. They have been digged and threatened with new sanctions, economical sanctions to countries violating the chart. They have valid all kind of criminal practice, violating the territorial integrity of free nations. I repeat that in Venezuela, we have endured for 16 years all kind of aggressions, economical, political, sabotage, rhetorical, fake accusations, and our revolution have endured all of them. So like this new aggression, this new threat that they are trying to do over our land, it will be defeated too. That's why we have been preparing ourselves. I should warn to this group of friends that about Venezuela they are preparing an aggression every day with more strongly and intensity and with more lies too. Our people is ready to resist. It is ready to win in a perfect national unity, but we have to prevent that a conflict escalate or an aggression. It doesn't matter how big it is. It would become in a catastrophe for all region. It is not only Venezuela. They are attacking the whole Caribbean, Latin America, and our region will suffer in a very important way. We love peace. Venezuela loves peace. And we have a proposal in a diplomatic way to understanding included with those who have violated this United Nations Charter, even with those who had threatened our country. that is the sacredest value that we have in our beloved land, in our beloved earth, and we should do effort to preserve them. And that is why the United Nations Charter, it is the proper mechanism that we have. It is the one in which we have to go, and that one that we have been defending. To finish these words, I am calling to strengthen unity, the unity of this group, the ones who conform this group, friends from United Nations Charter, and let's begin to go through an important dynamic in all ways, in all forums, in all spaces in the United Nations, as we have done before in Geneva, to hide our voices. I think that it has been an important balance that we have had, a successful balance with important results in the group that we have had. Thank you. Comrades, I want immediately after these words to go through in your consideration about the work agenda that you have in your hands, and there is not any other observation. I think that all participants agree with the agenda that has been delivered to you. So, with no negation, I want to go to submit to consideration some document that we have been working on, and I understand that is a wide agreement. So I congratulate our delegations. I am speaking about 4 documents. One is the declaration, political declaration of Friends of the Defense of the United Nations Charter. The second is a special declaration about African priorities. The one about industrial development, and the special project about the attacks against the Pacific installations in Iran. Mali, I think Mali delegation wants the word.
Thank you.
Sorry, the delegate is speaking in French, and yes, sir, you have to speak in English. Sorry.
I thank Ivan Hill for receiving us in this mission. I would like to make a comment on the document related to the priorities of the African continent. We have no concerns on this document. However, I would like to distance myself from the 11th paragraph of that document. Our delegation is distancing itself from this paragraph, and I would like that this reserve appears in the document and may it be taken into account. Thank you very much. Regarding the second document that is related to the priorities of the African community, thank you very much for your observation. And if there is no other consideration, from any delegation with another observation, I can consider that we are approving according to the documents that we have presented today with the observation that has been taken into account. Any additional comments? I think that these 4 documents have been approved with the reserve that was mentioned. Related to the working method, also negotiated previously by our delegations, also I can consider that our group of friends agree in endorsing its content. If there is no other observation regarding this issue, I can consider that that has been decided by this ministerial meeting. We move on to the next point, which is the ministerial debate, interactive ministerial debate. Of course, I'm going to ask all of the delegations to limit ourselves to the time, to respect the working agenda we have today, and we have suggested an intervention of 3 minutes, as I always say in our meetings. In this house, the microphone is not going to go off for anyone, but we would like to ask for the respect regarding time. I would like to start offering the floor to the delegation that has asked to begin the debate, which is the delegation of Nicaragua, to the comrade Denis Moncada, Minister of Foreign Affairs of Nicaragua. You have the floor. Thank you very much, colleague Ivan Hill. Greetings to all of the ministers here present, and thank you for the comprehension of the time frame. Nicaragua would like to thank the Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela for its efforts of viabilizing and strengthening our group in the multilateral space of the United Nations Charter, in common initiatives that reaffirm the strength. According to the United Nations Charter, the humanity keeps facing inequalities, aggressions towards sovereignty of the peoples, and unilateral practices contrary to the principles of equality, sovereignty, and mutual respect. We are also protagonists of the irreversible advance of an integrated alliance of our peoples in their fight against hegemony and Western powers. Nicaragua is reaffirming that multilateralism is the only legitimate platform to battle, to face inequalities and guaranteed coexistence, respectful coexistence without distinctions according economies. And the peoples of the Global South are called to lead this transformation to solidarity based on the respect of sovereignty according to the Agenda 2030. Our peoples, our countries maintain itself consequent to the fight for peace, accompanying the peoples, sovereign peoples. We condemn strongly the coercive unilateral measures, illegal, arbitrary, and inhumane that make obstacles for the development of social justice and the prevalence of a capitalist society. We express our deepest solidarity with the Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela in the face of the threats and permanent aggressions of the United States, aggravated recently with the deployment of military forces in the Caribbean. This provocative scene constitutes a threat and also an open violation to the United Nations Charter. We reject all ways of intimidation and use of force against the people, sovereign and sovereign. We are calling to preserve Latin America as a zone of peace, dialogue and cooperation, and the defense of the self-determination of the peoples. We also make a call for the tragedy of the people of Palestine. Israel pretends to extinguish the people of Palestine, to take control of that territory. We reiterate our solidarity for the brotherly people of Palestine. We condemn this crime and demand the recognition of the nation as a state, as a sovereign and independent state. Nicaragua reiterates its solidarity with the heroic people of Cuba, and we condemned the unjust blockade, financial blockade, and all of the actions that constitute a flagrant violation of the United Nations Charter.
Thank you, Your Excellency, Minister de Mucada. I'm taking note, and I want immediately to give the word to another comrade from Latin America and the Caribbean, Bruno Rodriguez Parilla, Minister Foreign Affairs from Cuba. Go ahead, Bruno. Thank you, dear Councillor Ivan Duque, for your hospitality. Cuba rejects categorically the deployment from USA in the Caribbean Sea that violate America Latina and Caribbean as a zone of peace, and the treatment of no nuclear weapons in these countries. It constitutes a direct threat to Venezuela, and they try to justify an aggression. It is about the same government with the complicity of Israel back and participate in the genocide against the Palestinians with a veto in the Security Council, and there are their financial ministers that constitute a threat in Russian borders. Is a country that has attacked the nuclear facilities in Iran, protected by internationals. Close to the 80th anniversary of United States, we are looking at the breaking of their fundaments in international time that peace and they are wasting a lot of money. There is a lot of measure against many of the countries of this group and others, and it is heightened the imperialist maneuvers against sovereign states. With respect to the proposals and principles of the International Charter and the defense of multilateralism are main in this complex scenario, in this unfair order, international order. The inclusion of Cuba of the supposed state that it is an aggression act. This measure reinforces the blockade against Cuba that keeps on rejected by the international community with the leadership of this group. The world needs a new order, international order, inclusive order, fair, just, that promote peace, security, dignity of the human being, and the social justice. An order founded on dialogue, cooperation, and equality, and respect to every country to select the economical, political, cultural system with no interference, external interference. This group, Friends of the Charter, can contribute to this order, and we have to keep our voice together. We can do it together. Thank you, Comrade Bruno Rodriguez, for your intervention. And I want to give the word to Mr. Richenkov, Foreign Minister from Belarus. Go ahead, dear Maxime.
Excellencies, dear colleagues and friends, it's my great pleasure to address the words of appreciation to my querido amigo Ivan Gil, Minister of Foreign Affairs of Venezuela, for convening this very important ministerial meeting. The time of our meeting is very important.
Nuestra reunión es importante. Las Naciones Unidas
The
y sus
United Nations
cartas celebran
and his charter are
80
holding
años de vida.
80 years of life.
Debería
That should
dar pie a
give
organizar lo
a
que ha
stand
pasado. Es que
to organize what
no
has
ha sido
happened.
más predecible como debió ser.
It is not as predictable as it should be, but no.
Hoy hay falta de diálogo,
Today there is no
uso de la
dialogue.
fuerza,
They are using
somos
force
orden mundial.
that are
Naciones
eating
Unidas
away the world order.
está en
The
juego.
world
Los
United
Estados
Nations are
miembros
at stake. The member states
deberían hacer este orden más
should do
sólido,
this
más fuerte.
order
Tenemos
stronger.
casos
We have
como
cases
como miembros de Naciones
as a
Unidas
member
que
of
no
United
vemos
Nations
resultados esperados
that
porque
do
no
not
somos
see their
coherentes en
weighted
nuestras
results
decisiones.
because
Por ejemplo,
we are not coherent
hace
in our
5 años
decisions.
antes de la
Some
Segunda
years
Guerra
ago, before the Second World War,
comenzaron a tomar medidas
they began
sobre
to take
la
measures
creación
about
de
the creation
sistemas, de una paz en Palestina. Sin embargo,
a system
esta
of peace in
aspiración no se
Palestine.
realizaron.
But these aspirations were not realized.
¿Qué ocurrió?
What
Que
happened?
durante 80 años
That
hemos seguido
during
discutiendo
80
el caso de
years we
Palestina,
have
pero la
been
situación
discussing the
empeora.
Palestinian case, but the case get worse.
Palestina, los palestinos han sido
Palestinians
sacados de sus
has been
tierras.
taken out from their
Esto ha
lands.
tenido diversas consecuencias.
They have brought many consequences. We cannot keep silence on this. We should take call again a conference to fix this situation and the application of two states. We support Palestine, and it is very important that international community understands that it is necessary to Palestine to be a country from United Nations. And this period is very important. Due to the violation of the principle of the chart, we are seeing what is happening in Venezuela. That is confronting the danger of the use of force. We have to denounce to the world that we are in solidarity with Venezuela. We are ready to cut this practice that is contradictory with international right. In this sense, we have adopted a communicate, and it's very important to be known by the world. These coercive measures, unilateral, that are affecting more than 40 countries, and due to the lack of solidarity, and due to the inaction that has not been majority, has taken place, this measure to keep on. And we want to go to a multipolar world with the power of the Occident. They have been violating these norms, and today using sanctions has been a common practice. These measures had allowed to declare the 2nd of December as a global day to create awareness about the negative impact of these measures that violate the United Nations Charter. of the international right. We have to keep attention to this issue in which West stop thinking about these nations are not intelligent. These actions are not intelligent and generate damage for the population. We have to favor the multipolarity where should be a balance between different patterns, powerful countries to protect the other countries. The group of countries defending the Charter have to be in the leadership of this change. Thank you very much for your attention. Thank you very much.
Minister Maxim from Belarus. I will now give the floor to our friend Frederick Stephenson, Minister of Foreign Affairs and Commerce of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. You have the floor, sir.
Good morning and greetings to all. We gather today at the time
We are gathered here today in a moment of great worldwide conflicts. The genocide against the people of Palestine continues non-stop, and the situation of Sudan is devastating. And likewise, the situation in Ukraine, Haiti keeps suffering the total destruction, and in the region of Latin America and the Caribbean, which has been proclaimed as a zone of peace, the powers on decay are giving new hardships. And the responsibility of the United Nations to preserve the security, and the Security Council is paralyzed. The United Nations created 80 years ago to generate solutions, to seek solutions for all in a new world based on peace and security and sustainable development of human rights. Seems today that is going without a clear path in this moment in which the things are tearing apart. Like, it seems like we are not capable of facing this crisis, multidimensional crisis. We need to gather willings, and as mentioned by our Prime Minister Rafa Gonsalves says that generally we must know that we have that union to search for worldwide consciousness for us to avoid that the humanity falls deep into the abysms of as an organization that is based on the United Nations and the international law, with the charters that are formed by the small island nations like St. Vincent, is not just a witness from the outside of what is happening. 45 years ago, St. Vincent and the Grenadines became a member of the United Nations. In that opportunity, our people on the diaspora felt much joy and celebrated the moment in which our voice was going to be listened in the heart of this home of hopes and dreams. And St. Vincent is compromised with the principles and objectives of the United Nations, and we reaffirm and we keep standing strong in our stance today. That is why St. Vincent decided to be a member of this group in 2021, but also we are the smallest country elected to the United Nations Security Council, and we were the only member of CARICOM that at that moment was pro tempore President of the SALAC. Your Excellencies, in this very complex moment in which there is so much uncertainty, it is justified it is asked to be prudent and to respect the United Nations principles, and we adhere ourselves to those principles, and we need to reinforce the system. However, we cannot reject and destroy this foundation by the original foundators of this that has also been maintained in spite of the difficulties. Colleagues and dear friends and delegations, my delegation asks for us to protect the United Nations Charter that keeps helping us as a foundation of our multilateral system, and we need to highlight that due to our principles of moral, of international moral, we trust that there are challenges and contradictions and difficulties may be resolved in a positive way through the application of the United Nations. Thank you very much.
Minister Frederick Stephenson from St. Vincent and the Grenadines. I would like to give the floor to General Sese Orongo Abubakar, Minister of Foreign Affairs of the Republic of Uganda. You have the floor, sir.
Your Excellency, ladies and gentlemen, the United Nations Charter and the international law are tools, indispensable tools for the maintenance of peace and international security, and also tools for the socio-economic development. The United Nations represents an organization and keeps being the forum for the access of the current conflicts we are facing. We want to support the preservation of peace and international security. Since the World War II, in this forum, we have been addressing the problems that go beyond the borders of our nations. So we cannot allow for there to be a crisis in the bilateral system. We need to strengthen the structures to reflect, to show the current realities, and we need to strengthen our compromise to renovate the relevance and the ideals of the United Nations Charter. I would also want to highlight the importance of building diplomatic institutions, strong ones that help us to achieve our goals. And also the system that includes the United Nations system, the different financial institutions for them to respond according to the needs, the current needs and the necessities of the Global South. Also, we want to reject and condemn we want to condemn unilateralism and to strengthen the values of multilateralism to respond and to face world challenges. Also, we want to reinforce our commitment with the reform of the Security Council and the respect of the United Nations Charter, and we reiterate our compromise with a fairer world, and the resolution that classifies the controversies according to the United Nations Charter and the international law, and the actions of the United Nations Security Council. Also, we are going to keep supporting to the International Criminal Court for us to promote the resolution of disputes pacifically according to the dispositions of the United Nations Charter and the status of the court. I would like to take this opportunity to receive on October 15th, when the Ministerial Conference of the Non-Aligned Movement is due to take place at the moment, and keep enjoying your stay here in New York. Thank you very much. Your Excellencies, Minister of Foreign Affairs of the Republic of Uganda, I would like to thank you for the invitation for the NAM conference. I would like to give the floor to Sayed Abbas Arachi, Minister of Foreign Affairs of the Islamic Republic of Iran. You have the floor. Señor Presidente, quisiera expresar
I would like to express my
Mr.
full
President, I
gratitude
would like to
for the leadership in the group of friends in defense of the Charter of the United States. This actual meeting is holding because of the 80th anniversary of the United Nations, in a violent moment and critical moment, when the United Nations Charter is facing threats from unilateralism and supremacy. And we have seen that there were different attacks in my country, July the 13th, 2025 killing, and leaving a lot of injuries from United States that has an objective.
Where we have been witnessing live from New York the third meeting of the group of friends in defense of the United Nations Charter, in also Venezuela's diplomatic mission, led by Foreign Minister Ivan Hill, on the sidelines of the fourth day of debates of the United Nations General Assembly. In his remarks, let's recall Foreign Minister of Venezuela, Ivan Hill, referred to the systematic genocide against the people of Palestine, which is also being marking worldwide conflict that's on the top of the list, but there are also a multidimensional crisis being faced by humanity in this context: warfares, harassment, unilateral sanctions, threats precisely imposed on the Venezuelan people by the U.S. government. More recently, there has been a military deployment on the Caribbean of U.S. warships, of also nuclear submarines. All of those are also a deployment that puts at risk the stability of the region of Latin America and the Caribbean, as that has been also reinforced by as a zone of peace by the foreign ministers, precisely in the space in this debate that has been generated at this moment. Also, in a context as well in which the United Nations General Assembly is making urgent calls for the de-escalation of and the withdrawal of this deployment in the Caribbean waters that put at risk, as I was mentioning, the stability of Latin America as a zone of peace. There has been so many conflicts taking place at this moment that are being also have been also discussed by the foreign ministers that are part at this moment of the meeting of the group of friends of the United Nations in Venezuela's diplomatic mission in New York. This is taking part, this has been going on at this moment, at this hour, in the sidelines of the United Nations General Assembly that is entering this Friday on its fourth day of debates that have been centering the voices of the Global South. Let's go back again once more to the meeting of the Group of Friends of the United Nations Charter.
We appreciate the effort of the group to fight against the coercive unilateral measures and adopting a declaration project against the coercive unilateral measure. We value the presidents of the group to fight against the coercive and unilateral measure that have presented the committee in the United Nations. This group have to join efforts and look for means to contrast these kind of measures. The Islamic Republic, as a member of this group, is continuously dedicating to the objectives of the United Nations, to its work and contributions of this group to defend the proposals of the chart and accomplish their promises for everyone. Thank you for your attention. Thank you, Mr.
Minister of Foreign Affairs of the Islamic Republic of Iran. I would like to give the floor to His Excellency Abdoulaye Diop, Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation of the Republic of Mali. You have the floor.
Muchas gracias, señor presidente.
Thank you very much, Mr. President.
Distinguidos colegas,
Distinguished colleagues,
quisiera comenzar
I would like to start
mi agradecimiento
expressing
a
my
nuestro
thanks
amigo Iván Gil Pinto
My thanks to Ivan Gil
por
Pinto
reunir nuestra reunión tradicional al
to have
margen de
our traditional meeting
Naciones Unidas.
in
También
this
felicito
United
al liderazgo
Nations
de Venezuela
Assembly,
por la manera
and
eficiente
Venezuela for the
de
efficient and professional way in which it is leadership,
que nos ha
this group of
permitido
friends that
alcanzar
has allowed
relevantes
to reach important results
y nos ha permitido reiterar
and has allowed
repetidamente
to
la
say
importancia
repeatedly
capital
the
de
capital
respetar
importance
la Carta
to respect the chart
cuando lidiamos con temas internacionales.
when we
La
deal with
situación
international
global se
issues.
caracteriza
The international
por la
situation,
tendencia del uso a la
it is
fuerza
characterized by the
como
tendency of using force.
Esta tendencia
This
es
tendency,
particularmente peligrosa,
it is very
ya que
dangerous
arrastra a la humanidad
because it
hacia
brings the
un
humanity
ciclo de
to
violencia
a violent
que se
cycle
traduce en la
what is translating in the
desestabilización
destabilization
de los estados,
of
en
governments,
daños socioeconómicos,
socioeconomical
y
damages,
inseguridad.
and insecurity.
En estos momentos de múltiples desafíos
In
al
this moment of
multilateralismo,
different
nuestra voz,
challenges,
la voz de los
the voice
países
of the countries
insisten en
who are
la importancia de la
insisting
Carta
about the importance of the charter, it is a
para
light
lograr
to get
una organización más equitativa para
an
todos.
equity
Nuestro grupo es una
life for
defensa
everybody.
en
Our group
contra
is a
del
defense
debilitamiento
against
continuo
the
de la
weakness
Carta,
of the
de la
Charter, the United Nations
y
Charter,
la supremacía de la fuerza sobre
and
la
the
legalidad.
supremacy of the
Mi
strength
país,
over
Mali,
legality. My country, Mali,
apoya
is supporting
la soberanía
the
y la
sovereignty
igualdad soberana
and
de
the
los estados,
equality
la
of
integridad
states,
territorial y la
the
no
territorial
injerencia en los
integrity, and no
asuntos internos.
interference in the
En ese
internal
sentido,
affairs.
reiteramos
In this
nuestro apoyo
sense,
a los valores
we
y los
state our
principios
support to the
defendidos
values
por
and principles
el
defended
grupo a nivel internacional.
by the group
El
on
Sahel
the international level.
y
Mali,
particular,
in particular,
están inmersos
is
en un ciclo de
in-
violencia debido
is living
a
a
los
violent cycle
ataques de la
due
OTAN en
to the
contra de Libia, que
OTAN
continúa
attacks against Libya,
desestabilizando
which is
toda la
destabilizing the older region.
Presidente,
Mr. President,
las diversas intervenciones
the
en Mali
different
han generado
interventions
más
in Mali have generated
que soluciones.
more problems than
Reconocemos
solutions.
y agradecemos
We
el
acknowledge
apoyo de
and
países
appreciate
que
the support
brindan
of countries
ayuda en buena
that
fe.
have given a faithful support.
Otras
Unfortunately,
intervenciones
another
tienen una
interventions
agenda distinta.
have a different agenda.
Hay un doble fracaso de la
There is a
fuerzas
double failure
internacionales
of the international
y
forces,
el acuerdo del 2025
and the agreement in
de paz y
2025 of peace and
reconciliación.
reconciliation
A mi Goita, nuestro jefe de gobierno,
that our
ha decidido
government chief
pasar
had decided to go
a apropiarse
to
de
trying to
el,
get
proceso de paz.
the peace process.
Este diálogo
This dialogue
ha permitido crear una carta
has allowed
para
to
la
create
paz
a
y la
charter
reconciliación
for peace
nacional
and national
que
reconciliation
incorpora las expectativas
that
del
is
pueblo
bringing together
maliense
the
que
expectative
vive
of
en
the
el extranjero. Esta
people
carta
from Mali that
es
lives
un
in the
marco
in
claro
other countries.
con
This is a very important thing,
claras
with
para la acción
clear
por la
goals
paz,
for actions to
reconciliación y
peace,
reparación.
reconciliation.
La lucha contra el terrorismo sigue
The fight
siendo una
against
prioridad de la
terrorism is a
región,
priority in the
Mali,
region,
Burkina
especially
Faso
Mali.
y Níger.
Burkina Faso and Niger, members of the Confederation State in Africa. The leaders of this confederation have understood that there could be isolated actions to deal with this terrorism issue. There should be coordinated actions from the armies of these countries. It is very important to have a strategy to allow to these governments and its allies to fight terrorism. Each time we defeat the terrorist. They have tried to weaken our economy. We want to denounce the silence of the international community. According to these attacks repeatedly against our sovereignty, these aggressive acts include a support to terrorist groups that are killing our people and that also attack our army. This aggressive act has happened, and we have denounced them in front of the law groups in the world. The government of Mali, under the leadership of Goita, is keeping on reforming the country reforms to rebuild the state with the pacification of in our country, the whole country. We have to thank to all the ones that have allowed us to keep peace and development. I reaffirm the support of the government and people of Mali to Palestinians. We condemn the aggression against the civilians, mainly in Franja Strip, and we are asking the Security Council not to support the Israel aggression. We keep our support to two states where Israel and Palestine could live together according to the established frontiers. We condemn the Israel aggression against and call the international community to take measures in this region. Government of Mali also says its opposition to coercive measures, unilateral measures against two brother countries like Russia, Cuba, Venezuela, Nicaragua, Democratic Republic of Korea, and the Democratic Republic of Iran. To finish, I would like to reaffirm our commitment to create values that we can share to defend our goals to peace, equality, sovereignty, and justice for all. Thank you very much. Thank you, Minister.
Of the Republic of Mali, and I'm going to give the floor to Excellency Osman Saleh Mohamed, Minister of Foreign Affairs of the State of Eritrea. You have the floor, sir.
Thank you.
Gracias.
Thank you,
Señor Presidente,
Mr. President. Excellencies, I would like to start congratulating the group of friends for organizing this 7th ministerial meeting in the framework of the conference celebrating the 80th anniversary of the United Nations. We would like to congratulate the Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela for the continuous efforts to coordinate the work of the team of the group, and we would like to express our strong solidarity with the people and the government of Venezuela who are fighting for their political independence and dignity. We congratulate the declaration that includes the declaration about the African priorities. Also, President, The reunion is taking place at a critical moment and a period of transition, of global transition, in which the world order is suffering a period of transition and change. The unipolarity and unilateralism in a world based on rules has been baseless in a moment of a global crisis. This unfair order, the countries, especially the global south, have been the victims of the hegemonic spirit of these peoples. And however, you feel the recent global development indicates that this unequal environment cannot be sustained for much longer, and we need to have a global system, polycentric, that respects the integration of all and plays the necessary role to work in equal conditions, a more equitable world based on the principles of the international law and cooperation, multilateral cooperation, and is imperative in the current moment, the current scenario. When we want to ratify the reasons of these inequalities and the surge of these more fair conditions, it is important for us to keep strengthening the principles of equality, territorial integrity, and political independence, and the non-interference in internal affairs, and the pacific resolution of the disputes, and not resort to the resource of force. These are the pillars of the United Nations Charter, and it must reign the amicable relations and the cooperation among small or big states. Eritrea, a nation that fulfills the law, has paid a high price to achieve its independence and preserve its independence. And we support the principles of the United Nations Charter. We reject any attempt of surpassing these principles in search of geopolitical interests, because this can lead to a profound worldwide destabilization. Mr. President, members of the group, including Eritrea, we are subjected to the illegal sanctions the tools of political that hampers the country's development, conditions that must be suppressed unconditionally and promptly. We need to keep working together to eliminate these unilateral sanctions in a way that we thank the creation of to denounce these measures. Mr. President, the goodwill, political will that exists in our group, we need to applaud it, the sentiment of support among us. We need to take more steps to coordinate and harmonize our positions in matters of common interest. In our work of coordination, and essential principles such as the promotion of the United Nations Charter and principles must keep guiding us in our work, in our aspirations, and in this sense we want to congratulate the chapter to coordinate the interest of our group in the heart of the Union, and we thank the expansion of our organization, which is making stronger our shared goals. So in this crucial moment of transition, the group of friends in defense of the United Nations Charter must strengthen itself, take advantage of this opportunity to achieve a better cohesion. And we hope a greater amount of members to strengthen our goals established in the Charter and achieve a greater respect of that document. Thank you very much.
Mr. Mohamed, Foreign Minister of the State of Eritrea, and now I give the floor to Semyon and Cooperation of the Republic of Equatorial Guinea.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you very much, Mr. President.
Your Excellency,
Minister of the Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela, and dear brother, on behalf of the Republic of Equatorial Guinea, I would like to express our thank you to Venezuela for organizing this ministerial meeting.
Siguen defendiendo la
keep
coherencia,
on defending coherence, courage,
la plena vigencia de las Naciones Unidas.
the United Nations
Hoy,
Charter.
cuando celebramos
Today,
80 años,
when we are celebrating 80
la carta
years,
sigue siendo
the
el
Charter
pilar más firme de la arquitectura
is the most
internacional.
important thing that we
Nació
have.
para impedir
It was born to avoid
We could prevent war and abuse of power.
la soberanía,
the
la
sovereignty,
igualdad de los estados,
the equality of
la
states,
diferencia, la solución
the solution, pacific solution for
debe
differences
prevalecer
must
por encima
prevail
de cualquier
over
interés
any kind of
bilateral.
unilateral interest.
Excellencias,
Excellencies,
el sur global
the Global South
conoce mejor que nadie
knows
el
better
peligro
than
de la
anyone
desigualdad.
the meaning of
la marginación.
inequality, margination.
África en particular
Particularly
ha vivido
Africa
las secuelas del
has
colonialismo,
lived
las
colonialism,
injerencias políticas,
political
y la explotación de
interference.
sus aún hoy
Even
muchos
today,
pueblos sufren las
many
medidas
people are
coercitivas
suffering
unilaterales
unilateral
que
coercive
limitan
measures
su desarrollo.
that ban their development and hurt the dignity.
Este
That's
grupo,
why this group,
más que un foro de diálogo,
more than a
es un
dialogue,
espacio de
it is
resistencia
a
y
kind
esperanza.
of resistance and hope
Pareciendo sobre la Asamblea General de las Naciones Unidas,
for in United
que
States,
establece el
United
4 de
Nations that
diciembre
established
como Día Internacional contra las medidas
this day
coercitivas
as an international day against coercive measures.
demuestra que
It
cuando
shows
actuamos
that
unidos,
when we act together,
somos
we are
capaces de transformar
able to
la indignación
transform
en normas
indignation
universales que
in
fortalecen
universal
el derecho internacional.
norms that strengthen international right. Equatorial Guinea reaffirms
Solo una política multilateral
that only a
inclusiva
multilateral inclusive
puede
policy
enfrentar los desafíos comunes,
can get common
el
objectives,
cambio climático,
the
las
changing
pandemias,
climatic change,
inseguridad
in
alimentaria,
insecurity,
terrorismo,
food insecurity,
o
terrorism,
ciberamenazas.
or another
Ningún
kind of
país,
threat.
por poderoso que sea, puede
No
resolverlos
country, as
solo.
powerful as it was,
Requieren cooperación,
can face
respeto
us.
mutuo y equidad.
We require cooperation and equity. That's why we have a
Ser
social
garante de un
mission
orden
to
internacional
guarantee
justo
an,
y
an
equilibrado,
equity, equilibrated
que
order
hable con una sola voz
that speak
y
only
actúe
with
con
only a voice
unidad.
and act.
El continente africano que venció
The
el colonialismo
African
es un
continent
actor
that
responsable,
surrendering the colonialism,
constructor de
it is a
consenso
builder
y socio
of
estratégico.
consensus.
Con todo el sur global reclama con
The
legitimidad
South
un
Globe
lugar
is
pleno
claiming
y
equality
equitativo
and
en las
equity
decisiones globales.
in global decisions.
Defender la Carta de las Naciones
We defend the
Unidas
United
no es
Nations
solo una
Charter.
obligación política,
It's not only a political
es
obligation,
también
it
un
is
deber moral con las
also a
generaciones
moral
presentes y
thing
futuras.
just for the
Debemos
new
garantizar
generation.
que
We
los
must
principios
guarantee
que dieron origen
the
a la
principles
ONU
that gave origin
prevalezcan sobre
to
la
the
fuerza,
United Nations
imposición
keep
y la
its
arbitrariedad.
goal against the arbitrarity.
Guinea Ecuatorial reitera su
Equatorial
compromiso
Guinea
inquebrantable con este grupo de
makes
amigos
reiterates the effort, unbreakable one, defending sovereignty and equality.
Para terminar,
Just to
me
end,
gustaría
I would
dejar
like
claro que
to clear up
las injerencias
that
políticas son
political
contrarias al
interference
espíritu de la
are
Carta de las
against
Naciones Unidas.
the spirit of the United Nations Charter.
Pedimos
We ask
se acabe con la inseguridad,
to end
con la seguridad
insecurity
que vive hoy
with
el
this
mar del
kind
Caribe,
the insecurity that is living today in the Caribbean Sea, and to defend peace
que fundamente
with the
las
principle
relaciones entre
fundamental, the relations
estados.
between
Expresamos
states,
nuestro
among
apoyo
states.
solidario
We express our
al gobierno
solidarity
venezolano
to the government and
en este
Venezuelan
sentido.
people.
Muchas gracias.
Thank you very much.
Muchas gracias, querido ministro y amigo Simeón.
Thank
de la
you,
República
dear Minister
de
Simeón
Guinea Ecuatorial.
from
Quiero-
Equatorial Guinea.
y la palabra
I want to give the
al
floor
excelentísimo señor Edward
to
Vicimana,
Your
ministro de
Excellency
Asuntos Exteriores e Integración
Vicimana,
Regional
Minister
y
of
Cooperación
Foreign
y
Relations,
al Desarrollo de la
Cooperation
República
and
de
Development
Burundi, a
of
quien
Burundi
también
Republic,
invitamos
which
a incorporarse
uh,
como miembro pleno a este
we also
grupo de amigos en
invite
defensa de la
him
Carta
to
de Naciones
join
Unidas.
to this
Muchas
group
gracias por su visita, su intervención.
of defense,
Excelentísimo señor
of
ministro,
ranks in
adelante.
defense of the charters. Go ahead.
Thank you very much for giving me the floor.
Thank you very much for giving the word. I would like to make use of this opportunity to thank Venezuelan minister for organizing this meeting. It is an honor for Burundi to have the word today as a special invitate in this group of friends in defense of the United Nations Charter. We really appreciate to the ones who organized for their invitation, and we applaud their continuous efforts of the group in favoring the principle of the international right. It shows our commitment, strong commitment, with the values of the United Nations Charter that is the base of international cooperation, peace, and security. Up to this time, when the international context is stressed by heightened tensions and conflicts, and the respect to multilateralism and the international right has been crucial. We share the conviction that sovereignty, equality of the states, and no interference in the internal affairs and the pacific solutions of issues are the nucleus of any collective focus. These principles are not negotiated. They are the poles of the international order. As an observer, we consider that the queries expressed for these groups are legitimate and must be heard. It is essential that all the members of the United Nations could hear their voice, convictions, without any discrimination or political pressure. Particularly, we recognize the effect, sometimes devastating, about the unilateral measures that limits the civilian population and ban their development. Dear colleagues, we are sharing this group to act with an open spirit, dialogue, and responsibility, with the goal to reinforce the collective voice of the ones who are looking for a new order with respect to the political decisions, and economic decisions. Well, I would like to say that Burundi wants to become a member of this group and to participate actively. So we are eager to contribute in a constructive way to this debate about the global governance, respecting all the principles of the Charter. We are convinced that a United Nations with more equality it is indispensable to face our challenge, the challenge of this time. Thank you very much.
Miembro de este grupo de amigos de la Carta de Naciones Unidas.
Of the United Nations Charter.
Felicitamos,
Congratulations, Minister, your incorporation in this group of friends of the United Nations Charter. And we are glad to have the Burundi Republic here as a new member. Welcome and congratulations. After this good news, I would like to give the floor to my friend, Your Excellencies Sergei, Vice Minister of Foreign Affairs of the Federation of Russia. Go ahead. Thank you very much, Mr. President and friends. I'm here participating in this ministerial reunion of the groups in defense of the United Nations Charter, and I appreciate the leadership of Venezuela and coordinators of this group. There are very important events taking place currently, and we are celebrating the 80th anniversary of the United Nations. It is very important to say that this was achieved thanks to the sacrifice of many people that fight to establish an architecture with the United Nations and the United Nations Charter. But in spite of the successes, we need to keep working together. There are lots of weaknesses that we need to assess. We have been seeing how we need to establish a multipolar world, and that includes this global south. We see that there are powers, emerging powers in Latin America and Africa that need the plain respect, and we need to play a more important role in international matters so they can reach their well-being and development. And it is something that can be done through our values and the values of the United Nations Charter. From our last interview, the role of the group of friends in consideration of the countries of the Global South has been very prominent. We have been seeing that there has been several events we need to consider. We have been facing colonialist practices, unilateral sanctions, and attacks against vulnerable nations that are putting at risk the implementation of the 2030 Agenda. During the last meeting of the United Nations, friends of the United Nations presented documents to eradicate colonialism in the United Nations and to face the unilateral coercive measures. And this support shows that we are defending the fundamental aspects of the sustainable development without unilateral sanctions. And it is very important to say that in the declaration of the International Day Against Coercive Measures, it is also a great achievement. And many of us today are supporting our collective actions. I would like to say that we can continue our efforts to guarantee the success of our resolutions. Middle Eastern conflicts that show the Western solutions are not going to let us to the peace in the region. So this is why we need to work together. There is only one single way to overcome these circumstances, which is with the ceasefire fully and the liberation of, and also a process of peace that recognizes the legal basis, making the United Nations its center. We need to work towards the peace and security. We have supported these positions presented for many years in favor of Palestine, and it is not a moment to doubt. In the past few months, this group has been very much united when we see the actions against Venezuela with the ideals of this group are threatened by the provocations of the United States. That is why the group in defense of the United Nations Charter must continue its work. We would like to reiterate our solidarity, a strong solidarity with the people and government of the Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela. In the past year, the group has been expanding itself, and now geographically as well. And we have been working together, and it's very important for us to unite and to make these activities to reach a wider audience. So we need to keep meetings, regular meetings, to systematize our goals. And it's important to have a conference among national coordinators in different events. It is important to share ideas, to have sources of information more deeper. Also, I am pleased to know that they have developed a document for the methodology of work thanks to Venezuela, because it is very important that the decisions are taken. And I'm very thankful for also the representative of Mali for its remarks. This consensus must be achieved through recommendations of all of the members. Russia organized the first meeting of national coordinators in Moscow, and in April 2025, and it was a very important effort to strengthen the group. We adopted a political declaration, resolutions, and a special declaration for the 80th anniversary of the victory against fascism after World War II. And it is important to say that in this way we can develop our work in a more efficient way. Also, I would like to say that these consultations with the national coordinators are essential because we can get to know their stances. And this morning as well, we have been able to have we had the presence of several representations, and I also thank the fact that Burundi has joined the group, because it's going to enrich our common efforts. Also, we thank the support of Burkina Faso in the efforts that have been made to strengthen the actions of the group. For us, this group is very attractive for the countries of the Global South. And we must consider to continue expanding our group under the leadership of the Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela. We cannot accelerate the process of expansion, but we want it to be relevant. Also, we would like to express our confidence in the group and in the compromises in which we want to support the group and the work for future generations. Thank you very much. It was a pleasure to be here.
I want immediately to give the floor to the permanent ambassador from Zimbabwe Republic, Taonga Musamulayo. Go ahead, Ambassador.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Your Excellency, let me express my gratitude to you, Your Excellency.
I would like to express our grateful to the Chancellor from Venezuela due to this meeting. Our minister could not participate in this meeting due that he's got a commitment with other meetings. It is important to participate in this meeting as well as we are commemorating 80 years of the signature of United Nations Charter. This charter is our moral sustain, where there are the sovereignty principles, no interference, cooperation, mutual cooperation, and it should be guided by all these principles to preserve the international coexistence. This principle has been attacked with impunity and threat with the unilateralism and aggression, military aggression. Likewise, the attempt to substitute the charter with no consensuated norms as a new word based on rules. These violations, clear violations, are very well seen in Palestina's case. The attack against civilians, it is a strike against the Palestinian people. It is a war catastrophe and a violation to the principles of the Charter. So, the self-determination is a right of the Palestinians. It is a tragedy, and it is a spot in the humanity consciousness. This is a clear test of our chart is this one. This is going to weaken the basement of the multilateralism. Excellencies, the Charter has been violated. It did not provoke attacks against Iran, against Venezuela, and others. In this critical moment, the role of our group is essential. Zimbabwe is reaffirming its commitments with the principles of the Charter and is in solidarity with the country that wants an international system based on dialogue and mutual respect. Excellencies, our group has registered many successes in the United Nations. Above all of them, the 4th of December selected as the International Day to speak about the MCU, to guarantee that these MCU are analyzed by the organization. This is a key to reinforce the multilateral system. Zimbabwe is committed to go ahead with, and in this sense, Zimbabwe is ready to organize the next meeting of this group of friends in defense in 2026. We know that to defend the Charter, it means a concrete action to make the Charter in the middle, to strengthen the multilateral organization, denouncing and realign the economic activities with the element of the Charter, reforming the international organization and giving an opportunity to development are essentials to the inclusion and nobody just to go back. Excellencies, defending the Charter has to be with defending peoples. It has to be we say no to aggression, no to coercion, no to occupation, and yes to peace, justice, and dignity for everybody. Thank you very much, Mr. President.
Thank you very much, Ambassador. And I'm certain that the National Court
van a disfrutar mucho
No.
en Zimbabue dicha reunión. Quiero darle la palabra
I want to give the floor
al embajador representante permanente de la
to the
República
ambassador.
Democrática, señor Kim Song. Adelante, embajador.
Go ahead, Ambassador.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. At the outset of
I would like to start expressing my gratefulness to the Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela for this meeting in defense of the Charter. Since this group was created, we have shown that has a high in United Nations. In this context, I would like to thank the Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela because of their constructive role. The Charter constitutes the basement of the international relations. It is a sustain that allows the wellness of the present and future generations. In the actual situation, it is every day more complex and make complex the relations that has been transformed in a new Cold War. Due to the role of United States and other countries, the Mid-East crisis is awakening just the international community again. To defend the Charter is an essential issue. 2 years has passed since Israel committed a genocide against the Palestinians. It violated international law and the Charter and the aspiration of peace of the planet. In this sense, we are condemning the genocide of Israel against the Palestinians and the attack from Israel and USA against the nuclear installations of Iran. It is a clear violation of the international right and the Charter. We condemn also the interference and the attacks against Venezuela. The members of our group had established that these measures are a danger for everybody. It is necessary to keep peace, security, and to reach the development goals, and this cannot be done if we are alone. It requires unity and solidarity and joint action. In this sense, it is imperative to keep on our efforts to defend the Charter, to promote peace and international security and sustainable development. Our country keeps its principles about international relations must be joined to sovereignty, no interference, and respect to all Charter norms. I would like to make use of this opportunity to say our commitment to work with all member states of this group to respect the principle of the Charter in the oncoming years with solidarity cooperation. Thank you very much.
Thank you to the ambassador of
I'd like to give the floor
excelentísimo señor Diego
to
Pacheco,
Diego Pacheco,
encargado de negocios de
business
el
in
Estado
charge
Plurinacional
of
de
the
Bolivia.
Bolivian multinational state. Thank you. I am really grateful to the Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela for organizing this group and this event. The world is covered with violence and pain images for destructive forces, leadership by the culture of death. Humanity denies to live in peace and equality, unity. It is killing life and die. We are trapped in paradigms, capitalists, Western, anthropocentric, egocentric, and modern, that has getting us apart from collectivity and is disconnected from life, who are sabotaging the culture of life, also work to create to stop multilateralism. But our countries are building, on the other way, a multilateralism inclusive, led by sovereign states with conscience and lover from peace. We are living in a life governed by neocolonialism, and neocolonialism more savage and destructive that want to impose apocalyptic images in this global crisis. Dignity, people full of dignities are sacrificed and killed with sanctions, coercive measures, wars, blockades, genocide, and mediatic condemns. Our eternal solidarity with the Palestinians, Cuban people, Venezuelan people, Nicaraguan people, and all the dignified peoples in the world. We fight to build a world with roots to live well, with levels. We fight for everybody to go together and nobody in the back. All have all, and nobody lack anything. We are conscious that we can't be just in defense. People and governments from the South will have to work from the offensive and the vanguard and political of the majority countries of the South. Our country, Bolivia, soon is going to change the government. And after 20 years of revolutionary governments, it's going to go to the right wing. There will be a lot of suffering for the people, for the Bolivarian people. We are hoping your solidarity with our fight, that will be long, but we will win, and we will go back to the correct path of history. Finally, I would like to strengthen this group of friends of the United Nations Charter to widen their voice in United Nations. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
From the plurinational state of Bolivia, we will always be with Bolivia, with its people, and we are very sure that probably the people of Bolivia and all of the nationalities that live in those countries will once again to the power and to keep moving forward in favor of the happiness of its people. I would like to give the floor to Your Excellency Beng Xuan, Ambassador, Permanent Representative of the Popular Republic of China in the United Nations. Go ahead, Ambassador. Thank you for the 7th ministerial meeting in defense of the United Nations Charter, and we offer a warm welcome. This is a creation of this group on behalf of the United Nations, in our positions, our stance in all of the platforms of the United Nations, that grow day by day. Now that the United Nations is celebrating 80 years, we need to reinforce the cooperation to defend equity and to promote peace and worldwide development. First, we must defend firmly the authority of the United Nations Charter. Some countries do not respect the United Nations Charter, and we demand a policy. They are imposing unilateral sanctions which hamper multilateralism and the role played by the United Nations. Our group must oppose firmly to all actions of hegemony and all of those actions that contravene the United Nations principles, and to reject the mentality of the Cold War and confrontation among blocs and the jungle law. Together, we must call the international community to fulfill the solemn compromise with the Charter with concrete actions. In second place, we must promote actively the reform of the worldwide governance proposed by Chinese President Xi Jinping in the Summit of Worldwide Cooperation that offers a Chinese concept for global governance. In this initiative, China will collaborate with members of the group to boost the voice and representation of the Global South and to build up a worldwide governance system through equity and to boost the cooperation in the group. Some members of the group have suffered for years the actions of hegemonic powers which have hampered seriously their economic development. China is supporting firmly the struggle of Cuba to protect its sovereignty and makes a call for Cuba to be taken out of the list of countries that allegedly support terrorism, and China opposes to the interference of the United States in internal matters of Venezuela. These actions of the United States have been terrible because they have aggravated the situation in the Caribbean. It is imperative that we support each other firmly and collaborate strongly among us in matters related to our fundamental interest, and our key concerns. Document that results from this reunion must expand the struggle for justice on behalf of the group, and we must expand the collective voice of the group in favor of justice to attract more nations to form this big family. In this matter, China is pleased to welcome the new member of this family. Thank you very much. Ambassador of the Popular Republic of China in the United Nations, I want to immediately give the floor to Abdelhadi, Ambassador, Permanent Observer of the State of Palestine in the United Nations. Go ahead, Ambassador. Thank you very much. Good morning, everyone. Excellencies, on behalf of Palestine, I would like to express our gratitude to the Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela for its coordination, exemplary coordination in the group of friends in defense of the United Nations Charter, and for organizing this ministerial meeting in a crucial moment for our country and for multilateralism and the United Nations. I'm sorry for the absence of my minister because of the refusal of visa for a high-level group that could not be part of this reunion. Excellences, to have a world order more equal and the respect of the United Nations demands to act together to face the challenges and the coercive unilateral measures and the injustices we are facing collectively. And first of all, as it was mentioned here before, it is Palestine the matter, the injustices in which the United Nations reflects our failure of the respect of the United Nations Charter and the principles that have been taken by our institutions. I also expand my gratitude to the members of this group for their solidarity for our process. Thank you for your constant support and your economic, legal, and political support. You have not abandoned us when we faced the worst crisis of the past 80 years, and nothing more catastrophic than what is happening now, that is a genocide against our people, creating death, destruction, impoverishment of our people, utilizing hunger as a weapon, as a tool weapon, generating sickness and hunger when it deprives our country for all the necessary means to survive. We thank the main stands and the demands for Israel to stop its crimes against humanity and its genocide against the people of Palestine, and to put an end to the illegal occupation of Israel in our territory. They have affirmed this in their several declarations and in the political publication that was supported today by the group, and they have done so with concrete actions, including the decision by many of you to avoid the transference of arms to Israel and to make him respond to be. Today we call for the members of this group to continue taking all of the measures needed, legitimate political, economic measures needed to put pressure on Israel to end this genocide against the people of Palestine and finally put an end to this action. We need to keep putting pressure and efforts to achieve a ceasefire in Gaza and the rest of Palestine occupied, including the East, and to stop the harassment and to guarantee the international aid according to the United Nations principles and UNRWA principles to put an end, to prevent the attack against our people and the effort of putting a wider stage and achieve its collapse. Here are the key elements to protect our people, which are going to help us to preserve our race and life as we continue in our struggle to rectify these inhumane historical relations, to have a Palestine that lives at peace, security, and prosperity, and that's aspirations, legitimate aspirations of all of our nations and peoples. So thank you very much, Your Excellency. Once again, all of our gratitude to all of the members of the nations represented here, where their total support with a fair cost of Palestine, and are guaranteed that all of our solidarity with your peoples and nations, hoping that peace and security, stability and prosperity reign in a more equitable world. Thank you very much. Of the state of Egypt, our solidarity in the face of the aggressions, in the face of genocide, and particularly that is on our, and also the illegal actions of Israel against the people of Palestine. this organization.
No hay otra delegación en la lista.
There are no more members in the list of the delegation.
We can close the event and a proposal to include an additional paragraph in this final declaration, giving the welcome to Burundi as a new member, a full member of this group, what makes us very happy, and we support us. We'd like to thanks your presence in here, the respect. We have 2 minutes just after. We are very punctual, and we have reached an important discussion of the main topics about aggression, interference. The next 4th of December, we are going to be here in New York celebrating the International Day Against the Interference and Unilateral Measures. It is an agreement of this group, and we are waiting for new victories, new battles, and of course, we are going to be together, and they will allow us to consolidate this Charter of United Nations in this complex time that we are living. Thank you very much to all of you, and Venezuela is your home.
We were live to New York during the meeting of the group of friends in defense of the United Nations Charter that was led by the Foreign Minister Ivan Gil of Venezuela on the sidelines of the 4th day of debates of the United Nations General Assembly. Let's recall that in his remarks, the Foreign Minister referred to the systematic genocide against the people of Palestine, the threats imposed as well on Venezuela by the U.S. government. In the face of these circumstances, the ministers, all of those representatives that were present in this meeting, urged for unity of the group to advocate for peace. This is all for the moment, but stay tuned with teleSUR English for more information.